Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am Rockin Robbie Billups, and it is time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everyone. Weekly comic book review is the show where I read a lot of comics, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week is Batman Elmer Fudd #1. No lie, and I'm just as surprised as you are. This book was really good. Every once in a while, Tom King, the writer, writes Batman. I'm not the biggest fan of his Batman run, but every once in a while he does a decent issue. This is better than all of those issues put together. This was really good. A really cool, nifty, hard-boiled crime story that totally fit in the world of Gotham City using characters from Looney Tunes. And it worked. And it was amazing. And it was cool. And no, Bugs Bunny's not a rabbit. He's a real dude. And all the other characters are real people. But it works, and it's so good. And yes, Elmer Fudd talks just like he does in the just like he does in the cartoons, and it works in print. This book was great. Really good. Artwork by Lee Weeks really just captures this gritty, noirish feel that really is perfect for the tone of this story. This book was amazing, guys. These Looney Tunes DC crossovers have been hit or miss, and they've mostly been almost off target, but this one was really good, very solid, and just wow. If we need to get Tom King to do more Batman stuff like this, but not maybe not using the Looney Tunes characters. But anyway, Batman Elmer Fudd really impressed me from everything about it. I loved it, from the dialogue to the story to the pace to the design of it, the art, the colors. Beautiful work from Lee Weeks and an amazing script. Really fun comic book from Tom King, and a really fun backup story, more in the veins of a Looney Tunes type thing that's absolutely crazy. But it works. Batman Elmer Fudd works. It shouldn't, but it does. Moving on to other DC books, Jonah Hex Yosemite Sam. I'm not the biggest Jimmy Palmiotti fan as a writer, of course. I'm just not the biggest fan of his. I didn't really read a lot of his Jonah Hex. The character is cool, but I don't really have a lot of connection to it, though I did find this to be rather enjoyable. It was a really good Western tale, so if you like Western comic books, you're gonna love this. If you love the character of Jonah Hex, you're gonna love this. And of course, Yosemite Sam works in the real world, and in the backup, more the Looney Tunes type version of Yosemite Sam. But it works. It even has Foghorn Leghorn in it, and yes, it's still a rooster guy, and it's mentioned, but it's just accepted. And it's actually a really fun story. It's cliche, but it's doable, and it's neat, and it fulfills its purpose rather splendidly. So I would say that Batman Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam, Jonah Hex, were the best so far out of all these Looney Tunes DC crossovers. Though Batman Elmer Fudd, that one right there was baller. That was awesome. Moving on, Acvtion Comics 982 brings us part 4 of Revenge. So Superman's got the greatest villains out there. Some of them. Superman has some of the greatest villains out there, and now he finally has like his version of the Sinister Six forming, the Superman Revenge Squad, the all-new Superman Revenge Squad, and it's great. Mongol, Blank, Metallo, Zod, the Eradicator, and Cyborg Superman, the best of his villains, outside of a few like Mixie and of course Doomsday. A great collection of villains coming after Superman. This feels hopeless. It feels like dire situations, really crazy things. The Superman books have been really good. They've been very fun. Acvtion Comics is an explosive action book. This delivers on that promise, though Zod's dialogue is really lame. It's really cheesy. And only use the kneel before Zod line if it really has an impact in the story, and it didn't really quite hit the impact in here. Just too many people have done it. Some of the dialogue's a little wonky, but overall this book is still fun. I love this story, probably more than any that has happened so far in Dan Jurgens' Acvtion Comics since DC Rebirth, but very enjoyable, like Superman typically is. Wonder Woman #25 is kind of a sad day. This is Greg Rucka's final issue of Wonder Woman. So over the last 1 year, he has done 25 issues of Wonder Woman for DC Rebirth, pretty much half of them set in the past, retelling her origin, and the new one set in the present day, where she finds out the truth of her origin, of which it has all been lies. Everything that you think you know about Wonder Woman's history in comics is completely wrong. You gotta read this stuff, but this is a great wrap up. Everything gets wrapped up in a nice tight bow and set up for the future creative team, which we got, I think, Fontana coming in for a little story, and then James Robinson coming on as the main writer after that. So we shall see, but Greg Rucka did, for the second time in his career, a great run on Wonder Woman that changed the game. This was better than his initial run on Wonder Woman back in the early 2000s or so, mid-2000s, something like that. But it's over, so thank you, Greg Rucka, for an amazing run on Wonder Woman, of course, with artists Nicola Scott, Liam Sharp, and Laura Martin, the colorist. So thank you guys so much. This has been splendid, and I really hope that DC has some exciting things to come. This really sets it up in a cool way for fans of the Wonder Woman movie to be able to jump right in, probably in the next story. So that's super cool. Flash number 25 came out. These 25 issues, they're a little bit bigger, but they're $3.99, but they are about, what, 8-10 more pages longer. This Flash was great. This is the first part of this new, like, return of the Revenge Flash, return of the Reverse Flash. This book has been very solid. It's a year into it as well. Joshua Williamson, the writer, has been doing an amazing job, and main artist Carmine Dijon Domenico is just flawless on this book. His artwork sizzles with the kinetic energy that is absolutely perfect for the Flash. Williamson's breakneck script is perfectly paced for this character. The characterization is there, the action is there, the mystery is there, the intrigue is there, and DC Rebirth Watchmen listeners, you know, it seems like most of what we thought were all crazy clues, like maybe what was going on with Superman in that little small town, and what was going on with the Squid over there, and what was going on with Wonder Woman. Maybe it wasn't all quite so connected to DC Rebirth, but there's some interesting tidbits in here because Reverse Flash remembers the pre-Flashpoint history. So that's really nifty, but a great Reverse Flash story, and it's really fun. Flash has been really good. Detective Comics 959, James Tynion IV, writer he is of this title, gives us yet another really fun and engaging, if a little verbose, saga of Detective Comics and the new Bat family. It really spotlights everyone very well, including Batwing and Azrael in this issue, and a little bit of something that's going to build up to the return of Tim Drake or something like that. I am absolutely certain. But this story's been really cool, really involves a lot of Azrael, and there's some Zatanna in here as well. So fans of DC's resident #1 superhero magician, rejoice. Zatanna is in this issue. It is fun. The script is great. A little verbose. He gets a little wordy at times. Absolutely, Tynion does. But the artwork by Martinez is great. Great replacement for Eddie Barrows, who is off the title for right now. But the artwork is solid. The book is solid. Everything about this book is really cool. And some really interesting concepts about the artificial intelligence behind the suit of sorrows that Azrael wears. And lots of cool stuff about the Order of St. Dumas, which Azrael comes from. And a really cool ending where you're like, Azrael? What? That's really cool, actually. Let's go into some Marvel books. Edge of Venomverse #1. So this is like a series of one-shots. They're going to introduce the characters that are going to be involved in Venomverse, just like Edge of Spider-Verse. Now, remember, Edge of Spider-Verse gave us Spider-Gwen. So any one of these could be the next big thing. So you might want to get them just for that reason. This one spotlights the origin and who exactly is this Venom version of X-23. That's right, all new Wolverine is venomed out in her. They're all alternate universes, right? But this was actually a really cool story. It's got really cool, nice, fun, simple art by Roland Boshi with a nice tight script by Matthew Rosenberg. So I found this to be rather enjoyable. A lot of the Edge of Spider-Verse stories were really cool. Some of them weren't. But this one so far, I like the first issue. It was really cool. Seeing X-23 as Venom is very interesting, but I really like the artwork. It's a simple story. It's kind of cliche. It doesn't really tell you anything, but it's got a neat ending. It's definitely going to start tying things into the upcoming Venomverse. So let's hope that Venomverse is good. The main story is going to be Cullen Bunn, so we shall see. So there you go. Secret Empire #5 came out this week, and I think this was not necessarily like Nick Spencer and Marvel have turned the corner with issue 5, but it's definitely a lot better than the last few issues have been. I found the last couple issues of Secret Empire and the one-shots to be very lackluster, boring. They have told us that the Cosmic Cube is not going to fix everything. So this whole thing where they're running around collecting cube fragments, it almost just feels unnecessary and like it's fill-in. And this is a big, meaty event. We don't need a lot of fill-in. At least that's how I have been feeling about this book. I want to feel more of the emotional weight on the population and on the heroes from what has actually happened. You get a little bit more of that in here. You get a little bit more of an explanation on Thor and what exactly happens is going on with him and Scarlet Witch and Vision, and how this defeat is affecting the AI Tony Stark and Falcon and the other heroes. And this was a really solid issue. I really liked it. And the ending, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending, we knew something was coming. Did we know that this was coming? Of course we did. But did we know it was coming so soon? That's all I'm going to say. But I approve of the ending of this book. And I actually approve of this issue. I think that it's the possibility that this is the moment they're about to turn the corner. Okay? The story now could just go off like this in a really cool manner. They also mentioned the hammer thing. Like, where's the hammer? Where's Mjolnir? What's been going on with that since the Free Comic Day issue? They answer that in here. This is actually really cool stuff. It actually is. Amazing Spider-Man number 29, Secret Empire tie-in. This basically is going to show you what Peter Parker's Spider-Man was doing the moment that the takeover happened that initiated Secret Empire. So that's really nifty, seeing things from his perspective, but also his first confrontation with the new superior Octopus. Of course, Otto Octavius now has a modified clone body of Peter Parker that makes him look really like a modern day fascist, to be honest with you, but he's joined up with Hydra temporarily to take out Spider-Man, and boy, does his plan come to fruition in this issue, and I thought it was great. Stuart Immonen has been doing an amazing job since he's taken over as the penciler on Amazing Spider-Man. Dan Slott did a great job with Christos Gage, obviously, on helping him out with this story, as he does on most villains, actually. You ever notice that? But this book was really, really cool. Artwork was solid. The story was great. The characters resonated very well. Highly recommend it. Amazing Spider-Man was awesome. Totally Awesome is supposed to be the Hulk. Totally Awesome Hulk number 20 came out. I'm reading it because, of course, it's part of the Weapons of Mutant Destruction. It's actually part 2. WMD came out last week. It's mindless. It's fun. It's not going to change your life, but it's fun. Who doesn't want to see the story that's going to give us a Weapon X version of a Hulk-Wolverine hybrid? Who doesn't want to see that? In fact, if it was 1991, I would be flipping out right now, but really mad that the cover was not chromium. But absolutely, this story is mindless, action, fun, just crazy, awesome. It's totally awesome. It's actually pretty good. This Weapon X stuff has been really nifty, and it's just fun. It's just a fun story, like seriously. A Wolverine Hulk? There's got to be a chromium cover, though. Cable number 2 came out this week from writer James Robinson and artist Carlos Pacheco. Carlos Pacheco's artwork here is just perfect. Really shines. Like, he had a certain style back in the day when he was doing things like Excalibur and X-Men, right? And he really streamlined that style and honed it when he was working on Fantastic Four for a little bit with Jeff Loeb, right before Mark Waid came on that book. And that was some really, really good Pacheco artwork. And then his style kind of goes up and down. Like his last little bits of work, like his Ultimate Avenger stuff, his Captain America stuff, it just kind of, I don't know. This is like the Carlos Pacheco that I know and love. This artwork was great. Love the artwork in here. The story is fun, but still doesn't feel justifiable of a single issue. It doesn't feel like $4 worth of story to me. It feels like one little scene. They're very efficiently written scripts, number 1 and 2. They just don't really give you any kind of meat to the story whatsoever. So 2 issues in, and $8 might I add, we're still left going, what's going on? They're just, someone's chasing Cable through time. We could have got that in the first 5 pages of most other comic books. That's just me. Not saying it's a bad book, just saying that there's not enough oomph behind it to really justify the $4 price tag, at least to me. But it is good. It's good. I cannot wait to see what this whole story is. But seriously, is this first story arc going to be like 13 issues? Is it Bendis doing this? No, it's Robinson, right? XMen Blue came out, number 6. This has been my favorite X-Men book, absolutely, but not this issue. This issue was really bad. It felt like the fill-in tales of old, like something that's just worthless, meaningless. There's a little bit of tidbits in here, but there's a fill-in artist. Who is this? Ray Anthony Height and Ramon Box. Not a fan. Didn't really work. Felt rushed, felt muddy, felt clunky. Didn't work at all. And the story, which is Cullen Bunn, who typically I think runs off good and then trails off. I hope this is not a sign of this book trailing off like some of his other work, because I really have liked this book and these characters. It's really made me, I haven't really liked these young X-Men characters since the very beginning of when they first came in, and Bendis was doing it with Stuart Immonen. But this is not a good issue. Absolutely. So if you're like, Rockin Robbie says that X-Men Blue is really good, and I'm going to pick up issue 6, and you read it, and you're like, what is he thinking? No, not this issue. You should read one of the other 5. Absolutely. Defenders #2 came out this week, and I thought this was a blast to read. It was super, super fun. We've got David Marquez doing the artwork, and it is crisp, it is clean, it is amazing. And the colorist, Justin Ponser. Amazing work, Mr. Ponser, absolutely. And Brian Michael Bendis doing what he does best, the street level Marvel heroes, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and this isn't really a spoiler alert, Blade cameo. Think about this though. These are all Marvel's Netflix stars. And then they throw in a Blade cameo. There's no reason for Blade to be in this book unless they're setting something up for Blade to be in a future issue. We know Punisher's coming in an issue very, very soon. Punisher's also a Netflix TV series. Is Bendis trying to maybe tell us or maybe tell Netflix that Blade's next? That would be super, super cool, because you guys know I'm a Blade fan. So because of the Blade appearance, this was awesome, but seriously, it's the smallest little thing. But this issue was great. It's really fun. They've made Diamondback a threatening villain. The colors are amazing. Everything about this book is really solid. It's the best Bendis book in a long time. We're just 2 issues in. But so far, so good. Absolutely. I Am Groot #2. I loved issue #1, especially in the afterglow of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Baby Groot is just adorable. It was a great first issue. Issue 2, not so good in my opinion. Really went down in quality. Now that they're getting into what the story is actually going to be, I don't care. I don't like it. I wasn't interested. The humor, the adorableness, all of the charm of the first issue was lost in the second issue. So I can't see myself coming back for this, because this is, I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me. Infamous Iron Man #9. It's the Doctor Doom book, and now the Thing has been popping in, and Johnny Storm's in this issue. And let me tell you guys, this is my favorite issue of this series yet. Because it's not that I don't like Infamous Iron Man. I do like this book. I'm just not quite so sure about what they're doing with his mother. That's a little problematic for me. However, this book was awesome because it was mostly a conversation between Ben Grimm, the Thing, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And they were actually finally kind of talking about Reed and Sue being gone and missing them and what's been going on with them and how they feel forgotten and left out. And now we know Marvel 2-in-1 is coming. So we know that they're going to be teaming up. We're getting half the Fantastic Four back. So if Marvel 2-in-1 is going to be half of a Fantastic Four book, this has been like a third of a Fantastic Four book. So this book was really cool. The dialogue is great. It's got a very intriguing ending. I'm very excited for next issue to see. Next issue is the crux. If next issue works, the series works. If next issue doesn't work, the series won't work. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but that's what has to happen. But the Ben and Johnny stuff is perfect. Absolutely. So that was really cool. Other titles from other publishers. Black Mask Comics gave us beautiful canvas #1. First of all, indeed, it is a beautiful canvas. Sammy Cavella is the artist. Amazing, brilliant artwork. Triana Farrell is the colorist. That might be Farrell, not Farrell, but I always like to say Farrell. The color in this book is amazing. The artwork is amazing. Simple line work, great design work, elegant layouts, perfect pace, great capability of telling the story. This is a future superstar. Someone at Marvel or DC is going to get a hold of this person. Absolutely a great artistic team. Story-wise, completely confusing. No idea at times what was going on. Very hard to follow. Really turned me off of this book. This book artistically was so beautiful in the way it was illustrated, but the way it was written was just so jumbled. And I think it's intentional. It is intentional. And there is a nod to Dario Argento with the bird with the crystal plumage, one of his first films. But I don't know if that's strong enough to get me into issue 2, but I look out for these artists because they're really, really good. Absolutely. Dark Horse Comics, Bank Shot #1. I didn't like this one at all. I definitely checked it out because Chris Cross is the artist. And if you remember Chris Cross from back in the day, he did some Captain Marvel stuff when Peter David was doing Captain Marvel. That was great stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he did the Slingers series. You remember, was it Slingers or Swingers? It was Slingers. When Spider-Man for a while became 4 different heroes, Ricochet, the Hornet, Dusk, and Prodigy, and then 4 people actually became those characters. Their book, Chris Cross did some of the artwork in that. That book is really good too. Don't sleep on late 90s Marvel. It's way better than you remember because all they had was just story to sell their stuff. It was great. Anyway, Alex DeCampi created Bank Shot, or at least wrote it, I believe. Didn't really like this one. Clunky, cluttered, messy. I didn't like it at all. People that really like kind of realistic situations of modern day warfare might want to check out this book, but I don't really think it did too good of a job hooking me into a story. It was also very confusing as well, but not quite as confusing as Beautiful Canvas. Though Beautiful Canvas had way better artwork, in my opinion. IDW brought us Clue #1. I didn't really like this one. I wanted to. I love the board game. I love the movie. Tim Curry, love that movie. Professor Plum for the win. Absolutely. Some of you guys are in the know what that means, but Professor Plum is awesome. Clue #1 was all right. It kind of tries to capture the feel of the movie, but it doesn't really work. They break the fourth wall. It's kind of annoying. I think that, yeah, there are like different endings for different issues that have different clues about who it could be. And I just ended this, when I ended this book, I didn't care at all. I didn't care at all. I wanted to though. What I did care about, though, was Secret Weapons, because I've been trying out some of the Valiant stuff, guys. Secret Weapons, I really, really liked. I really liked it. It was written by Eric Heiser and Raul Allen doing the artwork. The artwork was amazing. Really good artwork, great coloring in this book. Love the way that the story is told, the panel layouts. Really good, ingenious stuff. The most groundbreaking page design and concepts that I saw in comics this week would have been in Secret Weapons. And if you haven't really kept up with what's been going on with Harbinger or anything like that, you may feel a little lost, but I do feel like it kind of like, I mean, I read like the first 18 issues of Harbinger or something and then stopped. So I kind of know who the characters are, and I read some of the old stuff. I know who Harada is and all that, but I didn't understand what exactly they were referencing, but they did a good job of catching me up, just getting into the story. The artwork really helps with that. Even if you do feel lost in the story, they fill you in on the history, but it's the art that anchors you in and just makes this a very solid and enjoyable read. So definitely recommend Secret Weapons. And yet again, another Valiant book that I read, and you know what? It was good. So Nelson, thank you for recommending the Valiant stuff. Anything else you want to recommend? Throw it down below. I still got that Divinity trade. I'm going to get to that soon. Image Comics, Redneck #3. Very sad that God Country is over, and Redneck is not a suitable replacement. It's not a bad book, but it's not God Country. But it's hard, and it's unfair to compare this book to God Country. On its own, it stands pretty decent. It's like a lesser version of Near Dark, but not near as subtle or cool as Near Dark. I'm a huge fan of the movie Near Dark, but this is a lot more redneck than Near Dark and not quite so subtle. But this book is pretty cool. I do like some of the themes that are starting to be explored, especially in issue 3. The artwork's actually good and it's gritty, and overall this book is solid. It is. Donny Cates is an up-and-coming star. There's some rumors that possibly he's going to be taking over Captain America. But then there was an even bigger rumor that Ta-Nehisi Coates would be taking over Captain America, and we'll talk about this on the pop culture wrap-up this week. But Ta-Nehisi Coates writing Captain America, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Redneck's good though. Check it out. You sad that God Country's over? Get your Cates fix with Redneck and Baby Teeth over at Aftershock, right? And the last one I want to talk about, Black Magic #6. We haven't had Black Magic in a while. Greg Rucka, Nicola Scott. Why? Because they were working on Wonder Woman, doing that awesome run. So it is sad to see Rucka's run on Wonder Woman end, his second run on Wonder Woman end. But it's great to see Black Magic come back. The artwork is amazing. Some of Scott's best work of her career. Absolutely cool script. This now, if you are kind of lost and don't really remember maybe what happened because it's been so long since the last issue, since the first arc concluded, it's okay. You can read this and you're safe because it's a story set in Rowan's past that explains a little bit. It's almost like an origin story, if you will, but it's very effective and very well done. So that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. Secret Weapons was surprisingly good. Clue was not surprisingly not so good. Beautiful artwork and beautiful Kansas. Beautiful Kansas? Carry on now. Beautiful canvas, brilliant artwork. Iron Man is like a third of a Fantastic Four book. Defenders is amazing. Cable needs to get a little bit more media, or I just feel like we're coming up on a whole issue of nothing but exposition. Absolutely. Secret Empire, along with the help of SpiderMan, almost is turning that corner right now. Edge of Venomverse is all right. DC stuff really was great this week, especially The Flash and Wonder Woman. But this Batman Elmer Fudd was surprisingly amazing, and my pick of the week. Let me know what you thought about this book down below, and let me know what else you read and what you thought about it. Love talking to you guys about comments in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and check us out on popculturephilosophers.com, where you can find our podcast, blogs, and a whole lot more. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Keep reading.